Hello everyone, UFC Sacramento is in the rear view mirror, and I am waiting for the fight night weights to come out for UFC Sacramento. As of the recording of this video, they don't appear to be out, which is disappointing. This is more of like for my simulator fight, my MMA fight simulator activities, but I really do like it pleases my autistic nerd brain to get the actual weight cut numbers. The whole fighter weighed in at 185 pounds, on fight night weighed 202 or whatever it is. That's a relatively normal middleweight weight. And being able to really kind of think about that, really kind of get a grasp of what the weight cutting numbers are. Those are not out yet, which are disappointing. California releases those, and that's why I like when the UFC comes to California or PFL. And we don't have those yet. We have the pay numbers. We do have those. And we have the results, obviously. And we have some judges to skewer. But the card itself, really fun. Really good action. What was the finishing rate at the end of the day here? Let's see here. Results. Thank you. 3 fights in total, 1 decision. And those 3 fights were okay, 2 of those fights were actually really good. 1 of them was disappointing. So 1 bad fight on the card. There are some other fights that I probably wouldn't call as good. Ritter versus Dolidze, for example. We'll get into the specifics on these as we go on, but that was problematic. Medeiros, Mason Jones. Wait, no. That's not what I'm thinking of. Shit. No, it was Nasrat Haqparast, Chris Padilla. That was a little pedestrian until it got to the finish, but it got the finish, and the finish was cool, so that makes up for it a fair bit. Anthony Witt, Terrence Chapman was not good. But we'll get to that in more detail. But otherwise, yeah, okay. The Kennedy Nzechukwu Shamil Gaziev fight was also very dumb. But aside from that, good action, good fun time. 2 thumbs up for the UFC. I had decent expectations for the card going in, and it did not let down. So the victory is there. Let's talk about PFL for a quick second here, because Cyborg Santos did get or Chris Cyborg. I always keep saying, I was so used to saying Cyborg Santos for so long. But no, it's Cyborg Juiciano, pardon me, headlining the PFL against a horrendously weight-missing Ketlen Vieira. How? Ketlen, you were a 135er. What the heck happened? Anyways, congratulations, Cyborg, 30th win in her MMA pro career, and her legacy is always going to be a very hard one to gauge, because there's the steroid accusations and the proof. But on top of that, there's also the fact that she's fighting in a weight class that just is not very good. That's kind of part of the reason that we really wanted to see her versus Nunes, versus Rousey, versus anyone from 135 was that there just wasn't much for her to fight. But give her what she can beat, give her what is available, and she beats them. She's, beaten Ketlen Vieira, Sarah Collins, Larissa Pacheco. This is all just very recently, by the way. Arlene Blenko, Kat Sagano, Shide Kavanaugh, Leslie Smith, Julia Budd, Felicia Spencer. This is what's available, and she's got the job done. She has beaten everyone at 145, really worth a damn, except for Kayla Harrison, which is not going to happen most likely. And it's hard not to put her in the great conversation. And she's only lost twice, and it's to Amanda Nunes, 1, and the other loss was it was way back in the day. Yeah, her MMA debut against Erica Paez, who did not go on to do a lot. So that's less than ideal. In fact, I had one other notable fight, which is lost to Betch Kohea, but it is what it is. We forgive the early losses fairly easily. So congratulations there. Otherwise, that card was pretty solid. Rabadanov. Boom. Jeez, I don't know why I have a hard time with that name. Getting the win. The fight between Sabrina D'Souza and Tyler Santos had a surprising result, and also was pretty solid. Luke Traynor continues to be a very good fighter as well. And otherwise, Javid Basharat survived a fairly scary moment to get a victory, so congratulations to him. Daniel Marcos also picked up a win, so the ex-UFC guys, who probably should still be UFC guys, getting the job done in their PFL debuts. Not really anything else to bring up, if I'm being entirely honest. By the way, Marcos beating Magomed Magomedov is like, that's actually, it's a pretty big deal. Magomedov is quite good. Like the 22-6 record, I think undersells him, but his losses are too. Well, I guess the problem here is that one of his losses is to Patchy Mix, who we now think is a complete fraud. But other than that, like Rufián Stad, Sergio Pettis, and then back in the day, Peter Yan, these are pretty. This is a pretty elite company for Daniel Marcos to be in. So congratulations to him. I'm not going to give a full breakdown of that fight card. I don't pay a lot of attention. I don't give a lot of shine to PFL because number one, every time I have, people have not really cared for it. But number two, I really, really dislike the PFL's like historical decision making. I want a rival to the UFC, and if PFL is that rival, fantastic. But they've created so much bad blood over the years, and here's what it is. Here's what it is, and hopefully in the long run that someone else steps forward to be the thing. All right, main event of UFC Sacramento, Anthony Hernandez versus Gregory Rodrigues, Fluffy versus Robocop. Let's get to the judges' scorecards for a moment here because this is one of the fights. This is probably the fight where I'm going to skewer the judges' scorecards. Judge Chris Lieben. Reliable old Chris Lieben, UFC fighter. You're off the hook. 49-46. Rodrigues, totally correct scorecard. Great. Gave the third round to Hernandez. Not a problem. Did that live myself. The other two judges, Rob McCarthy and Derek Cleary, veteran judges who are supposed to know what they are doing, respectively gave Hernandez the first round, that was McCarthy, and the fifth round, that was Cleary. Bullshit. I want to read you UFC stats here, and I invite you to go back and watch this fight again because number one, it's a very good fight. But number two, I think the scoring is very, very obvious. In the first round, Rodrigues landed 52 strikes to Hernandez's 10. 25-10 in significant strikes. Stuffed 7 takedowns. Yeah, sure. Control time apparently was 2 minutes and 48 seconds against the cage of you getting your ass kicked. That is not a round for Fluffy. And if we look at the fifth round, Fluffy gets knocked down in the fifth round. It's his highest output round. He landed 24 significant strikes. He landed 39 strikes overall. Only got hit 43 times, 27 of which were significant. But like the control time was 141 to 124. So it was actually a round where he got controlled almost as much as he did the controlling. And he got knocked down. Granted, the knockdown was off a leg kick as opposed to like a proper knockdown. I get that. I understand. I get that the knockdowns are not proper knockdowns, but still, yeah, there is no problem giving the third round to Hernandez. To be honest, you couldn't really give it any other way. It's the only round where he got a takedown, or one of two rounds where he got a takedown. He had significant control time. He had a legitimate submission attack where he had the back for a little bit. Like that is his round, but that is it. And for the rest of this fight, it was Robocop actually fighting incredibly well, perfectly, and having the cardio to go 5 rounds. This was an incredible performance. He worked the body, he worked the low kicks. Hernandez has had a problem with both of those over time, and he stuffed the takedowns. Again, this part I'm not so surprised about because, and there were people that were, because there were people that were saying things like, well, Robocop got taken by Roman Kopylov. He can't possibly prevent Hernandez from taking him down. The problem is if you go back and watch like Robocop's fights, he's not actually easy to take down. Kopylov did it because Robocop was preparing for a striker. He wasn't trying to defend takedowns. He wasn't worried about going to the ground with Kopylov essentially at all. And he wasn't thinking about the takedowns by Kopylov were all off of obvious, I don't care about takedown mistakes by Robocop. I am not expecting them. I'm not really trying to defend the takedown. I'm not really conceiving that. I'm not really doing that. And that was why I was like, well, no one is surprised when Fluffy Hernandez goes for a takedown. Because it's Fluffy Hernandez. This is what he does. He goes out, he gets takedowns, he tries to take you down, he tries to wear you out, he tries to suck the life out of you. This is what he does. Nobody has ever been surprised by the wrestling aspect. And I expected him to be quite ready for that. And he was. Hernandez going a grand total of 3 for 29 on takedowns. Had one takedown in the second, which was a little bit of control time. One takedown in the third, one takedown in the fourth, like I said. Nothing in the first and the fifth. By the way, again, those are the rounds that somehow went to him on a card. I am annoyed by this. No attempting takedowns and failing to get them and not doing any offense off of them is not winning a round. We did this with the Makhachev-Ian Gary fight in round 4, by the way, when Makhachev had all that control time against the cage, but was getting, like, not hit super hard or anything, but was getting hit repetitively, was getting outlanded something like 5-1 in the round, and somehow that round went to Makhachev on, like, 2 scorecards. Judges. Hate him. It's a hard job, don't get me wrong, but please, come on, guys. Come on. This was ridiculous. Rodrigues was clearly doing all of the damage throughout this fight. There was, not all of it, because, like, Rodrigues is, like, easy to hit and everything, so when Hernandez hit him, it was reasonably hard to win. But, like, you've got him stumbling around out there, you've got him with the compromised leg, you got him knocked down, you've got him bleeding, you've got him, please, you can't watch this fight and go, yeah, Fluffy Hernandez won a round where he got a takedown. Not even a takedown, where he didn't get a takedown. Where no takedowns equals no win for Fluffy. That's how that works. Anyways. Phenomenal work by Gregory Rodrigues. Hopefully this is like something he's just going to do in general, because everything he did here is applicable to other fighters. I'm hoping this is just not a, like, okay, we're going to do this against Fluffy Hernandez and then never do it again. I want to see the body work. I want to see the hard low kicks. I want to see, I would like to see more, like, forward momentum against other fighters, obviously. Like, I wouldn't fight everyone this way. This is, but like, the specific aspects of the game plan, I hope, are going to be there in the future. So, and I hope this cardio is a sign of things to come, because Robocop has historically, and there's a reason I said that he would probably lose this fight if it went to decision or went to the third round. Historically, Robocop does actually gas out a bit, but he kept it going. He kept doing his thing here today, or not today, but on Saturday, and gets the W and looks downright unstoppable. Like, looks like a legitimate title contender at this point, because this version of Robocop might actually give something to Strickland or to Chimaev or to DDP. Called out DDP afterwards. That would be obviously a fight to potentially make. But that being said, the Robocop of the past, not really a guy I'm tempted to take against those guys. But here's hoping. Here's crossing my fingers, crossing my toes for good things. All right, let's talk about the bad fight. Sergey Spivak, Vitor Petrino. This fight was not terrible to watch or anything, and it was a generally good performance by Petrino. The cardio held up reasonably well. He showed off some offensive wrestling. Did get reversed at the end of round 2, but that was about it. That was about the only real setback there was. Not reversed, but he, like, fell off the top trying to take Spivak's back, if I recall correctly. Or was it a complete reversal? Hang on. Checking my notes. Yeah, he got too high on a back take and it fell off. It was more of a fall off than a reversal. But the problem I have with this fight is just all about Spivak. It's not that he lost. Obviously, I picked Petrino to win, so I'm not shocked. But it was the fact that Spivak didn't do the thing that I was hoping to see Petrino get tested on here, which is what happens when the opponent is setting a directional pace that leads to wrestling, that leads to the clinch, that leads to things that stresses Petrino's cardio, stresses Petrino's bully mentality, that kind of thing. And Spivak just, I don't know what the game plan was. He went out there and he predominantly struck. He went for 2 takedowns in total. And the commentary was like, well, he's not a shooter. I'm like, I understand he's not a shooter, but he should be walking Petrino down every single chance he gets. Forward momentum, get on the front foot, get to the clinch, get to your wrestling game. And at no point was that, like, seemingly a priority that he was going for. And that's not how Spivak wins. So one fighter in this fight just fought really, really, really badly. It was the fighter I think was going to lose anyways, but it was still a very bad performance from Spivak, and that means I can't really bask in Petrino's performance all that much, to be honest. Then we get to the dumbest performance of the night, which is saying something because I just talked about Spivak. Roman Dolidze pulling guard to try to go for a leg lock against Reiner de Ritter and getting the absolute crap pounded out of him. I guess it couldn't have happened to a better person because Roman Dolidze is, by all accounts, as a man, as a fighter, as a performer, as an entertainer, are all kind of honestly shitty. It is what it is. MMA is going to have those type of people. But he's also a guy who's like refused to like fight smart a lot of the time. He's a guy who does not have a functional game really at all and has gotten to a UFC ranking in 2 divisions, I do believe, off of just purely being like physically built for this game. Like having all the athletic ability, the durability, the toughness that you would want in a fighter, the explosive strength, the explosive speed, and just absolutely having a brain that is completely useless. It's the frustrating part about this game is that there are people who are absolutely physically built for this that are not in any way mentally built for this. And he is that case. So does this mean anything for de Ritter? No. Your opponent is not going to roll for leg locks against you in any other matchup. And that's about it. People are saying that like they think that Dolidze threw this fight. That implies that Dolidze has a good game plan at any time, realistically speaking, and the answer is he doesn't. The fights he wins are all about someone else falling into a winning condition for him. Marvin Vettori, Kevin Holland, Anthony Smith, Jack Hermanson being like even his like famous win over Jack Hermanson, which was a calf slicer TKO, is like Hermanson doing like everything he wants and like Dolidze not controlling the fight at all, and it just doesn't matter. And like Phil Haas knocking out Phil Haas, knocking out Kyle Daukaus, same thing, same problem. Lariani Staropoli was like just getting stuck in the clinch over and over and over and over again. Yeah, there's nothing really here that to indicate that this was even like a worse game plan than he's had against some other people. It's just the most comically failed one. Markel Medeiros versus Mason Jones. This was my final loss on the night. I had Mason Jones, and in the first round, it was looking good. Mason Jones comes out there. He's outlanding Medeiros. It's not by any means a obvious round for him. Medeiros is doing a good job as well. Medeiros is landing shots. Medeiros is looking fast. Medeiros is looking like Medeiros, and he's got the pace and to handle things. And I just thought that Jones won the round. And then in the second round, it's looking again like Jones is doing pretty well, putting the pace on him, putting the pressure on him. Actually, has Medeiros wobbled a little bit at a point. It's looking good. And he's doing his job, and then he gets hit with an elbow. Boom! And Medeiros is like, "I've got you hurt. I'm going to kill you." And Medeiros does that. So, is this a fix for Medeiros? I don't know. The elbow was cool, and apparently he was like working on that. He was like, he saw the opportunity that like Jones has a defensive opening susceptibility to those kind of elbows, and that's pretty cool. That indicates like a higher level of thinking than we're used to seeing from MMA fighters. If we're being honest, like that's a better game plan than most. But the hallmarks to his problems were still there. And that worries me. Obviously, he can win fights. I said this in the prediction podcast. He can win fights. He can win this fight because he is a very, very good athlete, and he has elements of a very good fighter in him. It's just about actually putting it together. And I'd still love to see that. Like it's kind of one of those cases where, like, if he had beaten Mason Jones on the feet for 15 minutes, like for a decision, that probably would have made more than knocking him out. Meant more than knocking him out. So, bit of an oddball there, but congratulations on the win, Markel Medeiros. Is the biggest of your career. We roll on to Carli Judice versus Gisela Chavez, or Gisela Chavez? I don't know how to say that name. This was looking like a pretty competitive fight for the first bit. Like, reasonable. Judice was winning. She was doing the better job. She was controlling the range. She was doing her thing. I had her up, like, pretty well. And then she kicked Chavez in the body, and that was it. hit her in the liver and put her down, ground and pound to the victory for a first round stoppage. I have a hard time I guess the thing about this is like, it's cool. It's Judice getting a knockout of an undefeated fighter. That's a big deal. That's big. You know, being the first person to finish somebody who had been hit pretty hard in both their fights with Duden and with Montenegro and shook it off. It does indicate some things, but the problem just is that Chavez is just very low down on the list. It didn't represent a new level. It represented a step back, honestly, for Judice, because I think her wins over Nicole Cagliari and Juliana Miller meant more than this. I guess that's the one thing that kind of like dampers it a little bit. This is something we know Judice has been able to do. I like her body work. She punishes the body. It's great. It's fantastic. She fights at a good pace. She's learning newer and more nuanced striking every time out. That's nice, but I'm not really sure that the win here particularly means anything that wasn't already happening. There you go. Anthony Witt rolled over Terrence Chapman fairly easily once he got to the ground. Like, the stand-up was kind of ugly, and then got taken down 2 minutes 42 seconds on top control. Ugly grappling, but eventually an arm triangle submission over Terrence Chapman. Chapman is not UFC material, so the win doesn't really mean anything. I'm intrigued by what Anthony Witt can do long term because the athleticism is there, but he is very green, and Henry Hooft has to put the work in. The Kill Clip boys need to put the work in. Lariani Douglas versus Jamal Emmers, and I won some money on this one, and I'll take it. I love it. It's a big deal. The fight had the hallmarks of a Douglas win. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to stand up here and crow at the Lariani Douglas big believers, because there were people who were super believing, but like Cub Swanson has this guy programmed to be a killer and a destroyer. And I'm like, I don't think so. I really don't think he's necessarily a better fighter than he was before Cub. I just think that he has a lot of early. He finds his range early. He starts hot. He's fast. He's powerful. He's explosive. That's very scary. That's going to beat a lot of people. And the jab was working nicely. The calf kick was working nicely. He was doing some things. Emmers was too willing to accept the back foot. And I was like, man, I like Emmers, but he starts cold. And this seems like it. He's accepting kicking range a lot. His corner is yelling for aggression and wrestling. And he's not doing it. And then Douglas is coming in, getting cocky, getting defensively deficient. Boom. Down you go. Few hammer fists finish the deal. And Jamal Emmers has got himself a win. And Lariani Douglas is still like defensively deficient. I don't know what you want me to do here. I don't know what more you want me to say. This is a Lariani Douglas fight. He's offensively incredibly potent, but he has got so many defensive issues. Speaking of deficient issues, this next fight had 5 total strikes landed. Like, what do you want me to do? It was Kennedy Nzechukwu just kind of like sitting on the back foot, hands down, head moving, and getting blasted by Shamil Kassiev. It was comical. I don't think it means anything for Kassiev. It's Nzechukwu continuing to have this development. I guess it's a word of saying it. This new idea every time he comes out of how he wants to fight, and it doesn't really work. And then we had the Chris Padilla versus Nasrat Haqparast fight. I had Haqparast winning the first round, and it's weird now because I'm looking at the UFC stats, and apparently Padilla outlanded him like 2-1. So maybe I had a bad judge moment there. Maybe I wasn't recognizing the pace differential. I wasn't recognizing the amount of work being done. I was blinded to Haqparast's more technical striking. And then I had the second round going to Padilla. He started to really outwork Haqparast at this point. Although, again, not actually. But he started actually moving forward, putting the pressure on him, making this into a bit of a volume race, landing nearly 50 strikes and doing his thing. He was actually working in some knees, working in some creativity, working in some elbows. And then the third round comes around, and we kind of return to Padilla round 1 performance, where he's giving up the back foot a little bit. He's still landing a lot of strikes, to be clear, but he's letting Hawk Barast have the type of fight that is more successful. There. Padilla hurts him, though, follows him to the canvas, starts getting to work him over here a little bit. They get back up. Padilla continues to pour on the dirty boxing, the knees, the jabs, grabs a standing arm triangle, and actually gets the submission with, let's see here, what was the official time? 4:59, so 1 second, if that, left in the fight, and Padilla gets to tap out. Now, I'd be interested to see here, what were the scorecards looking like here? Because I mean, I would have given it to Padilla because I gave him the third round, so I would have had 29-28 Padilla. But it'd be interesting, was I alone on an island scoring round 1 for Hawk Barast? Yes, I was. So Padilla was up 2-0. So I had a fanboy moment. I had a technical nerd moment. I had an appreciation of Hawk Barast that was not in the realm of possibility. Mea culpa. I do believe I screwed that up. I didn't actually see Mauricio Barbosa versus Ryan Coos. I had technical problems when that fight happened, and it lasted all of 2 minutes and 47 seconds, and Barbosa got a knockout. I don't think I really need to say anything, though. Like, that's how Barbosa wins, and I just don't think Coos is actually especially good. Don't get me wrong, throw him on Contender Series and everything, but, like, my big issue was, like, I don't understand why this guy who is coming off a competitive win over Kevin Natividad, a loss to Cameron Smotherman, and a win over Leandro Camagaro, who is not very good, is getting a UFC shot without going through Contender Series. I didn't understand that. I don't get that. It's weird. It's weird who gets signed off of Contender Series without actually... who gets signed without going through Contender Series at times. And this was definitely one of those cases. Like, Coos is just not that good. And he got knocked out. Stan Dorsenval with a big debut win against Gage Young. Initially, this fight was going like how I thought it would go. In a nutshell, Young was landing a lot of nice counters. Dorsenval is very, very open to getting hit as he comes forward. He's very, very reliant on the front foot. He has to bring that out there. And Young was finding the little short hooks, finding the little in-close boxing, doing his thing, outlanding him 62-23, 48-23 on significant strikes, got a takedown in there as well, did his thing, had a really, really good first round. I'm like, this is what I expect. Dorsenval looks good, but looks incomplete, that there is some significant issues in there. And then Dorsenval in the second round comes out, and it's the same round, but like Young is going a little bit slower. Young is having a little bit more problem with the pressure. Dorsenval is coming out a little more aggressive. There's like more flurry. There's like an end to like the single strike stuff, and it still has the same fundamental problems that I think a fighter will exploit. Like, Dorsenval is a very green prospect who has to get better, but there are building blocks there. And I love the fact that he took a round, because Dorsenval's historically been a crusher guy, in the sense that he just pressures people and they just can't respond, and he rolls it. You know, the rolling ball picks up all the moss and keeps going, the momentum down the hill into a destruction ball. And the fact that Dorsenval didn't have that happen in the first round, and still came out and did the same thing but better with adjustments in the second round, was very impressive. The second round, I think, is probably the round in which you have to look at the scorecards. It'd be interesting. I'm assuming every judge, because he won, gave him the second, and they did. But I think this is the round that has the most potential, because in terms of significant strikes, basically dead even. In terms of overall strikes, basically dead even. There's a +2 and a +5 differential in favor of Dorsenval. And I know, you can't statify MMA. I actually said that on Twitter when someone was talking about, I can't remember who it was. They were talking about like somebody's really, really good takedown defense, and you were like, there's very few takedowns being shot against them, and 2, they're not good wrestlers. It's the same problem like here, where like it's not just about landing more strikes. But when there's a close level of strikes and there's a close level of damage, which I thought there was in the second round, you have a close round. And then the third round, it's just Dorsenval continuing to get it. And like, an impressive display of cardio here. This man threw 309 strikes, 298 of them being significant out there, defended 6 takedowns, went for 7 of his own, and just had a phenomenal day. Young had a couple takedowns in the third round, but he could not control him, could not make that work for him. Again, the problems were there. When Young was like able to just kind of settle down and throw counters, they were hitting, they were still landing, but Dorsonville would keep coming forward, would keep the pressure on, would keep the activity up, and took that round. So, congratulations, Stan Dorsonville. A huge win for you here on your UFC debut. Love it. Short notice win. Great work. I do have concerns, but I hope that he is developing and trying to do something, because there is something there. And he's 26 years old, so there is time to make it work. Jackson McVeigh versus Wes Schultz was, well, it started out being what I hoped it would be, which is these two guys clinching and wrestling and doing their thing, and Schultz threatening the neck, and then getting a choke locked in, but unable to control it, unable to finish it there. And then we ended up back on our feet, and Schultz was just gassed out and got beat up. That's it. I think I'm done with Wes Schultz. The messy fun grappling is there, but like there are guys who do it better and don't gas out as hard, is what I think it comes down to. Because don't get me wrong, the knee to the body that Jackson McVeigh landed was delicious. I'm here for that. This was the day of body work, and I love that. But it is one of those things where, like, this loss is all about Schultz not having the tools to win at a UFC level against anybody I'm particularly interested in seeing him fight. I picked him here because he's the underdog. I didn't even know this was a rematch of an amateur fight that had happened, because honestly, it was just looking at the matchup and going like, I'm just gonna pick the underdog here. Now, I have shit on Schultz. Does that mean that I still have the same view of McVeigh? Kind of. Better than Schultz. He's probably not the same level of wrestler, but like, he did survive the trouble on the ground, and he does have a good clinch game, and he does like throwing knees, and he does like working the body. Now, can he beat people that actually should be in the UFC? Probably not. But we don't have quite the same level of proof, because the losses that Jackson McVeigh has taken so far in his UFC career are against guys who are actually quite good. Well, not really. Bruno Ferreira is, but like Zach Reese is... I mean, Zach Reese is kind of like Jackson McVeigh when it comes down to it. So, am I excited for McVeigh's next fight? Not really, but he is fun. He is sloppy. He is violent. I'll take that. Chanel Dyer worked over Elise Reed, and I don't have much to say about this. Dyer was landing more shots, the faster shots, the snappier shots, the more impactful shots. Got a takedown in there for good measure. And at the end of the second round, Reed's corner is asking her if she's done. And she doesn't want them to throw the towel in. And there are two takes online, I guess, on this. One is that, like, if you're going to ask that, you pretty much just have to throw the towel in. But I think at the end of the day, Reed wasn't taking any like massive damage, honestly. I guess in a nutshell, I think that by the standards of MMA cornering, this was good cornering. It was offering to take this to what I would have changed is I wouldn't have asked her if she wanted me to throw the towel in. I would have asked her, do you have anything? Is there something you're seeing? Is there anything you think you can build on in this third round? And if the answer to that was no, I throw the towel in, I end the fight, because there's no point to it. The only reason I'm okay with them letting her go out there for third round is she wasn't taking like extreme punishment. And in the third round, it pretty much got ended pretty quickly. Dyer comes out, well, not that quickly. I guess it took a minute 42. She still ate 34 extra strikes. But yeah, Dyer comes out and Dyer knew she was done. And just kind of stormed the castle. Did what she was doing, but like with more aggression and more destructiveness to it. And we end up with a standing TKO. because she's along the fence. She's just getting overwhelmed, and the referee made the absolute right call for fighter safety, and we didn't need to see any more of this. So it's sad because like Reed is as good as she can be. Reed is the fighter who likes to fight and is here and trying really hard and developing something and fighting smart, but she does not have the physical capabilities to actually do this. That's just all there is to it. She needs to go somewhere else or find a new way to make money. I don't know. I don't know what the options for her life are, but being in the UFC is like not it. She had a better run than she had any right to be honest. Like, realistically, this is the type of fighter that should never have won in the UFC, but she's got 3 wins. So, is what it is. She's 3-6. I don't know if she has another fight on her contract, but I'm not looking forward to it. Like, again, I don't hate the girl. She seems like a nice person, honestly. Seems like a nice person, seems like a fight nerd. Seems like someone I would really enjoy the company of. But in the cage, there just isn't. It's not there. The speed's not there. It's just not there. Anyways, enough of that sad note, I guess. This fight card was pretty good. Lots of finishes. The action was pretty solid. There was some dumbness. There was some stupidity. But even the stupidity was actually fairly fun. There were fights that didn't mean anything. But even they were largely fun. Like I said, the only fight I wouldn't recommend watching is Petrino versus Spivak. Just because like it doesn't tell you anything. And it's a heavyweight decision. What are you going to do with it? Anyways, that's all. Check out social medias down below. Video gaming stuff down below. The Discord server with the fight simulator down below. New episode of Battletech is going to be out tonight. And have a good day.